Welcome back to the Global News Relay. I'm Juan Avila.
And I'm Courtney Rogers.
Let's go to Baylor University in Waco, Texas.
Joining us by Skype is Jessica Babb. How are we doing today?
We're good.
Awesome.
Hello, Jessica. So we know this is at least your second Global News Relay you guys have been part of. How has it been? What's your experience been like?
It's been really cool to be able to participate in this. This is actually our third year doing this. And so it's really cool just to get to be part of something where you get to see news from communities across the world and that we get to share about Waco, Texas. So we're glad to be part of it, and thanks for having us.
So tell us about some of the stories that you guys have been covering.
So some of the stories that will be featured in our newscast, we've got a lot of activism, so everything from the Women's March in DC to anti-Trump protests to we even have celebrations in Miami after Fidel Castro's death. And then we even have some protests that happened on campus, as well as some things that are stories have helped promote change on campus as well. So we're really excited to share these stories and share how they impacted us.
So the best stories are those that are relatable to one another. How are these stories relatable to you and your community?
Well, I think they're relatable to us in our community, especially, the stories of activism, for instance, with the protests. These were all events that kind of took the nation by storm. They all impacted everyone in a different way locally. For us, we have stories about the anti-Trump protests nationally in DC, but then we also have stories about what that looked like on Baylor's campus. So you kind of get a national and local perspective on some of our stories, which I think is really cool. And I think everyone can kind of relate to that in some way because it's affected, all these kinds of stories have affected everyone in some way.
So tell us a little bit more on how your experience has been putting all these stories together.
It's been a really fun experience. I'm getting to collaborate with the rest of my broadcast team and our advisors and just getting to, put this together. It's been a really fun experience.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us today. We're looking forward to seeing your stories. We've been talking with Jessica Babb from Baylor University in Texas.
Now here are the stories they've been working on for the Global News Relay Solutions Journalism.
Today on LTVN, students calling for more action by Baylor administration after the sexual assault scandal. Find out what they're asking for.
Protesters take the street for the Women's March in DC. Find out why it made history.
And a message reaching across the world. See how one Baylor student is making a positive impact.
Good afternoon. I'm Christina Soto.
And I'm Morgan Kilgo. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're bringing you a special edition for the Global News Relay, where universities across the world come together to share news about their communities.
In the wake of the Baylor sexual assault scandal, the university has been criticized for not being transparent enough. Now students on campus are calling for more to be done. Jessica Babb joins us in the studio with more.
Thanks, Christina. There's been a lot of pushback on campus from students saying the Board of Regents isn't doing enough to fix the Title IX issues brought out by the athletic scandal. Recently, the board released a governance document with recommendations they felt would act as a solution. Now students want more, saying student regents sitting on the board should have the right to vote. Headline after headline, Baylor University has been pummeled by the mishandling of the sexual assault scandal.
I do think that the Board of Regents is missing a perspective because there's a difference between being able to voice your opinions and being able to cast a vote.
Student government recently passed a resolution asking regents to grant voting rights to students sitting on the board.
By doing that, it lets our students feel and see that they are represented on our highest governing body so that we can affect changes to campus that we see would better campus.
In response to the Regents governance document, Bears for Leadership Reform released their set of recommendations, also stating student regents should have a vote.
If those constituencies are important enough to have a representative on the Board of Regents, then I think they're important enough to have a vote.
Universities across the country already have voting student regents. Some of those schools include Duke, Purdue, the University of Florida, and UNC Chapel Hill. In fact, over half of student regents at public universities have voting privileges. Even private universities that are comparable to Baylor, such as SMU, have voting student regents.
I think that every university would benefit from allowing students to not only have a seat at the table, but also have a vote.
After SMU faced their athletic scandal in the 1980s, they restructured their board to include voting faculty and student positions in order to better understand the needs of the university.
I think that perspective is just critical for the board to really understand how their decisions impact students on the ground.
We are a campus, we are a community, we are a family, and the best way for our family to move forward is together.
Before the regents voted on the proposed recommendations, they were able to listen to student presentations as well as the LTVN story you just saw. Taking it all into account, the regents granted voting rights to one student sitting on the board.
Celebrations broke out in Miami shortly after the death of Fidel Castro. Hundreds of Cuban Americans flooded the streets chanting "Free Cuba." Many of them were thanking the U.S. for the freedoms they had and are hoping those living in Cuba will soon share those same freedoms.
After Donald Trump won the presidency, anti-Trump protests took the nation by storm. Elizabeth Tharp joins us with more on what these protests were like in the nation's capital.
Almost immediately after Donald Trump was elected, protesters in Washington, D.C. began filling the streets. The protests started on election night and continued throughout the rest of the week. On the second day of protesting, we caught up with them, and this is what it looked like.
I mean, he's been elected. A lot of people voted for him. Why are you not accepting the outcome of the election?
Well, more people voted for Hillary Clinton in the election.
Pussy grabs back! Pussy grabs back! Pussy grabs back!
Why are you doing this?
Because Donald Trump hates me, hates my friends, he wants them dead. That's what his plans do, essentially. My family's on low-income Medicaid.
We reject the president-elect! We reject the president-elect! No fear! Immigrants are welcome here!
Why are you here tonight?
I'm here representing those undocumented family and friends of mine who are afraid to leave their homes to go to school, afraid to leave their homes to go to work, afraid to leave their homes to simply go grocery shopping. I'm here to speak for them.
Not my president! Not my president! Not my president! Not my president!
Anything about it right now, but we can still be active. We can still go out, talk to our legislation, and fight.
Accomplished with this protest.
I hope that we begin a process of healing.
Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter!
Anti-Trump protests also took place right here at home on Baylor's campus. Students gathered on Fountain Mall to express their disapproval of Trump. They were met by Trump supporters, but constructive conversations were able to take place.
The protesting didn't stop there. Trump was met with more protests during his inauguration and the Women's March that took place the following day. Jessica Babb has more details about the historic march that took Washington, D.C. by storm.
Now, it was estimated that over 500,000 people attended the Women's March in D.C. to protest Trump taking office. Now, women's marches happened all around the world, but the march in D.C. was the largest one that took place.
With voices loud and causes proud,
The patriarchy has got to go!
both men and women marched to protest Donald Trump taking office.
We're here at the Women's March in D.C. today, and it is crazy. People have come all over the country to be here for this moment right now. Now, can you just kind of talk about why you're here?
You know, all of the rhetoric, all of the hatred that has come out of this campaign, I felt like I needed to come and stand in solidarity. I wanted to show my daughter that this is something that we have to stand up for.
It is estimated over 500,000 people attended the march in D.C. today to walk in solidarity with one another. The purpose? To send Trump a message on his first day in office that his agenda will be challenged.
This is huge because everywhere I look, seeing literally hundreds and thousands of people, it's just support, it's solidarity, and it's strength.
The march was intended to start at the Capitol and end at the White House. However, with people filling the streets the length of the entire route, the formal march itself couldn't be conducted.
Being here today means to me that I'm going to stand up, that I'm going to reach out, I'm going to stand up for my rights, for everyone's rights.
Instead, individuals swarmed the surrounding roads and even protested in front of the Trump Hotel. The masses of people were easy to spot, with many participants wearing pink hats.
Absolutely wonderful that everybody is wearing these hats. Even men are wearing these hats because they stand with the women.
Women's marches happened all over the country and world today, but the march in D.C. was the largest. For LTVN, I'm Jessica Babb.
Since taking office, Trump has been signing executive orders. One of them will take away federal grant money from any sanctuary cities. Students at Baylor started a petition to make the university a sanctuary campus. While over 1,300 people signed the petition, it was opposed by some.
I don't agree with it just because it is, although it's going with the Christian values, it's going against a lot of the laws of the new upcoming political stances.
Baylor responded to the petition saying they will not adopt sanctuary status, but they are working with students affected by the executive order.
After a racially charged incident took place on campus, the Baylor community came together to walk in solidarity. Here's a closer look at the walk with Natasha.
I'm here at Tidwell, where the Baylor community gathered to begin the I Walk with Natasha walk. The walk was in support of a Baylor student who was involved in a racial incident on campus Wednesday. Natasha Nakama posted a video to Facebook where she said she was walking to class when
this guy went out of his way to bump into me and sort of shove me off the sidewalk.
He then proceeded to use a racial slur towards Natasha. The support from the Baylor community has been overwhelming.
It was just really emotional to see how much of the student body was rallying behind her.
I don't want any student to be afraid to be on our campus, and I'm going to be talking with the police chief and seeing to make sure that anybody walking across our campus is not afraid what hour. We say that we're a Christian community, and that means that these kinds of incidents should never happen on our campus.
I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart. Like, you have no idea how much it means. And to whoever defended me that day, I don't know who you are, but I thank you, honestly, and thank you for being an example to everyone else on campus. And to the gentleman who said those words, I'm praying for you, and I love you, and I don't know you, but I hope you know that everyone here loves you, and we just want to see the world be a better place, so sick 'em.
Women around the world are also coming together, but this time through the internet. Here's a story of how one Baylor student started a blog that's making a difference.
According to Dove's Self-Esteem Fund, 71% of girls with low self-esteem feel that their appearance does not measure up. They do not feel pretty enough, thin enough, or stylish enough. This Baylor student took her personal insecurities and hardships to help others.
In my junior year of high school, I started, even as I became more quote-unquote popular, I struggled with a lot of body image stuff at that time, and I found myself not eating healthy and not treating my body the way it should be treated. And I found myself at the gym for like 4 hours each day. I would count calories and make sure I didn't go over like 800. Finally, I had people call me out and be like, Grace, are you focusing too much on your body? And it took me a while to even admit I struggled with that for like a year and a half, but that was a moment when I realized that although I looked happy, I wasn't on the inside. And it was because even though I knew of Jesus, I didn't really know him as a friend.
Grace Valentine became the top contributor for the Odyssey. However, she found herself constrained to write about the Lord, so she left and created her own website.
I decided I wanted to go out on my own and create a website purely for helping girls find their worth. My website is called The Enough Movement, and it's geared towards helping girls who don't feel enough, whether that's pretty enough, like wanted enough, or successful enough. We weren't created for this world. We were created for God and to have a relationship with Him.
She has not only received positive feedback from young women, but also from the mothers of these girls who do not feel enough.
Grace's writing means a lot to me because I'm someone who's struggled a lot with self-worth and just image and who I am as a person, and so it's been really cool to see how she relates it all to the gospel and how she sees herself and others through a biblical lens and tells people who they are in Christ rather than what the world says that they are.
In every article she talks about how you are made in the image of God, and that is something that you should never be ashamed of. The Prince of Peace loves you more than anything in the world. He's created so many beautiful things, but still he thinks you are more beautiful than all of those things.
Her website, gracevalentine.org, has had more than 3 million views from across the globe.
I had a girl from India message me recently, and that left me speechless to think that a website with no marketing can reach across oceans just because of God's name, and that it can affect little Sally in India and make her heart know her worth in Christ.
Grace is continuing her movement by writing an easy-read book for women to always remind themselves that they are enough for the Lord.
When I got that contract for the literary agent, I couldn't believe it because it was a lot of my dreams coming true, but also like finally seeing all what I've been through, the circle effect.
That's it for this edition of LTVN. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.
Well, great stories about journalism and solutions journalism, I mean.
Yeah, I really liked that last piece. It was beautiful. I really think it's important for women to know their self-worth, and putting that out there for everyone to see across the globe is beautiful.
It's very inspirational. And coming up on the Global News Relay, how students and faculty from Texas State University help provide healthcare to villages in Nicaragua.
Plus, a professor at the University of North Alabama promoting activism through courses and lectures in the Department of Family Studies.
How journalism students in Mexico City are giving a voice to mothers desperately searching for their missing children.